So get this, a painter of demons and a legendary village fool. For hundreds of years, these two characters from a really chaotic past seem to have absolutely nothing in common. But it turns out they share a secret, a really powerful tool that helps societies get through their most turbulent times. Okay, let's just dive right in and meet our two main characters. On one side, you've got Muhammad Siyah Qalam, the Black Pen. His art is this wild world of dark, grotesque, and, honestly, pretty unsettling stuff. And on the other side, we have the famous Mullah Nasruddin, the wise fool. His paradoxical jokes have been making people laugh and really think for centuries. On the surface, I mean, you couldn't find two more different people. And that apparent contradiction? Well, that's the mystery we're here to solve today. Finding the hidden connection between them isn't just some historical trivia either. It actually reveals a fundamental technique that cultures use to process overwhelming stress and keep their balance when things get crazy. To crack this case, we have to understand the world they were living in. And let me tell you, this was not a time of peace and quiet. This was the age of chaos that came right after the Mongol invasion swept through. The 14th and 15th centuries were basically a giant cultural pressure cooker. The old world had been completely shattered by the Mongols, and now new empires were clawing their way up from the ashes. This constant churn created a kind of vortex where different people, different ideas, and different traditions were just slamming into each other. Now, what's really fascinating here are the specific tensions of the time. Think of them as these deep social fault lines. You had the constant clash between nomads and city dwellers, right? And between rigid religious law and this more wild folk mysticism. You even had competing artistic styles fighting for dominance. All of this friction created this powerful, unspoken anxiety, a society-wide stress that had to go somewhere. So let's start with our first piece of evidence, the strange and powerful art of Siyah Qalam. You see, he wasn't just painting fantasy monsters. He was holding up a grotesque mirror to the chaos of his world. His work, which you can see today in Istanbul's top copy albums, is like nothing else from that period. He used this stark black ink with almost no background, so his figures, these demons, twisted nomads, bizarre hybrid creatures, they just leap off the page and get right in your face. It's like they're literally born from the era's unspoken psychological stress. So what was he actually doing? Well, his method was brilliant. He used something we can call visual inversion. He would paint demons doing totally normal human stuff, chopping wood, having a party, even praying. He was taking all the hidden anxieties, the sort of demonic underbelly of his society, and dragging it right out into the open. The contorted bodies of his figures, that is the psychic stress of the era made visible. Okay, now for our second key witness. While Siyah Qalam used dark ink, Mullah Nasruddin used a tool that was, well, maybe even more powerful, words. He was the wise fool, the absolute master of the verbal paradox. You see, Nasruddin's stories weren't written down in books. They just traveled on the wind, passed from person to person across the entire region. On the surface, they're just these simple, funny little jokes. But underneath all that humor, they are incredibly sophisticated mental tools designed to shatter rigid thinking and expose hypocrisy. This classic story perfectly captures his whole technique. A friend finds Nasruddin on his hands and knees under a street lamp. "Mullah, what are you doing? What did you lose?" And Nasruddin says, "My key." So the friend gets down and helps him look. After a while, he asks, "Are you sure you lost it right here?" "Oh no," says Nasruddin, "I lost it in my house." "Then why in the world are we looking out here?" "Well," Nasruddin replies, "the light is much better out here." It's absurd, right? It's hilarious. But it forces us to ask ourselves, where do we look for truth? Do we look where it's convenient, or do we look where it actually is? So you see what he's doing, right? His stories work because of these clever little cognitive tricks. Just like the painter, he's using a form of inversion. In his case, a verbal paradox. To challenge our assumptions, to poke fun at social rules, and to get us thinking about much deeper truths. Okay, so we've looked at the painter's grotesque mirror and the fool's verbal paradox. The evidence is all here, so what is it? What's the secret cognitive tool that connects these two totally different guys? The key that unlocks this whole mystery is a concept called cognitive inversion. It's the art of flipping the world completely upside down, whether with a shocking image or a brain-bending joke, to show you a hidden reality. And, most importantly, to relieve the pressure in a system that's under a ton of strain. And boom, here it is. This is the solution to our puzzle. Just look at how perfectly they mirror each other. Siyah Qalam used the image of the demon. Nasruddin used the persona of the fool. One used grotesque bodies, the other used paradoxical logic. But at the end of the day, they are both doing the exact same vital job for their society, releasing its built-up social strain. They were basically cultural safety valves. Think about it. In an anxious time where you couldn't just openly talk about corruption or hypocrisy or fear, the painter's demons and the fool's jokes gave people an outlet. They give society a way to process what it couldn't say out loud, and that restored a kind of psychological and cultural balance. But here's the thing. This story does not end in the 15th century. Not even close. These archetypes, the grotesque mirror and the wise fool, are incredibly resilient. And their long, powerful legacy tells us something really fundamental about how cultures adapt and survive. You can actually watch this tool evolve through time. Before our two guys, art and stories were often way more straightforward. You had good versus evil, clear moral lessons. Then Siyah Qalam and Nasruddin come along and introduce ambiguity and paradox as these sophisticated tools for social critique. And then, fast forward to the early 20th century, and these exact same archetypes are adapted into sharp political satire, like in the famous magazine Mullah Nasruddin, which used the fool's persona to attack colonialism and tyranny. So here's the crucial takeaway. The wise fool and the grotesque mirror are not just historical artifacts. They are timeless mechanisms for cultural intelligence. Whenever society is dealing with new strain fields, whether that's post-war chaos, political repression, or the digital anxieties of our own time, these archetypes show up again in new forms to do their job. And that leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? As we navigate our own complex, often chaotic world, who's playing this vital role for us right now? Who are our modern-day painters of demons and masters of paradox? Where are the wise fools and grotesque mirrors helping us see our own hidden truths and release our own collective strain?